Hi everyone, I'm Nima Dorje. Today in this video, I'm gonna talk about the doctrine of unconscionability. So basically, unconscionability refers to taking advantage of the special weakness or disadvantage of the other party. So a contract will be invalid and voidable if sorry a, so a contract will be invalid and voidable due to unconscionability if one party has taken the the advantage of the other because of the weakness special weakness or disadvantage of the other party. So here the weakness and disadvantages may include like illiteracy, poverty, sickness, mental health, and financial need of the other party, and inexperience, and the other things may include the trust over the other party. So when when during the contract, if one party has taken the advantage of such disabilities of the other party, then the contract is considered as voidable due to unconscionability. So here, the elements of conscionability includes um, like okay, a contract will be void due to unconscionability if all these elements are satisfied. So like going with the first elements, like one of the parties to the contract have a special weakness or disadvantages. Here the people who are involved in the contract, if the second party is like have a special weakness which was mentioned above and have a low bargaining power, and the one and the other takes the advantage of all these things, then the contract can be voidable. So like going to the second element, the other party know about or should know about the special weakness or disadvantages. So here we can consider that the one party already knows about the weaknesses, what weaknesses the other party has already got. And the third element can be the other parties take unfair advantage of that special weakness or disadvantages. And third elements, like the one party has taken the advantage of the weaknesses of the other party. So if if like con if these elements are met when the contract in the contract, then when the contract was made, then the contract can be voidable or invalid. So like we have so talking about unconscionability, we have the similar case of unconscionability like uh, Commercial Bank of Australia versus Amadio case. Like it's the case of unconscionability. So like we're gonna further go deep into this case. Mr. and Mrs. Amadio, an elderly couple who spoke little English, were asked by their son to mortgage their property to the Commercial Bank of Australia as a guarantee for the debt that he owned. Mr. and Mrs. Amadio agreed, believing that their son's business was successful and that their liability would be limited to $50,000 only. They were wrong on both counts. The bank manager took the mortgage and guarantee document to Mr. and Mrs. Amadio to sign. The manager did not explain the document to Mr. and Mrs. Amadio, nor did he check to see if they understood the risks and liability they were assuming. Mr. and Mrs. Amadio signed the documents without reading them. When the son defaulted on his loan, the bank sought to enforce the mortgage and guarantee over Mr. and Mrs. Amadio's property. The court decided that the mortgage and guarantee were void due to unconscionability on the part of the bank. Mr. and Mrs. Amadio were in a position of special disadvantage because of their ignorance on their son's indebtedness, their age, and their inability to read and understand English. The bank knew about these disadvantages and should have taken steps to ensure that Mr. and Mrs. Amadia were better informed. The bank failure to do so amount to unconscionable conduct. So in this case, like the contract between the Mr. and Mrs. Amadio and the commercial bank is considered as void due to unconscionability. So the contract might be voidable if any parties have taken advantages of the other parties. So while making the contract, each and every information in the contract should be explained to each of them, and the legal what we can say, like we can we can include the legal advisor during the legal contract so that the contract will be valid. And so thank you very much.